everyone. My name's Andrea Mason and I'm one of the pastoral directors at Wyke Sixth Form College. We'd really like to extend a warm welcome to you all joining us in this virtual Welcome to Wyke Evening 2020. This is very different to how we would normally do this, but obviously as we're all aware of the news and the changes that we've put in place at college, we still wanted to give you all the information that we would normally do on this evening, and we hope this evening you'll be able to meet some important members of staff that are going to be involved in your son or daughter's progress at Wyke. We'll be able to introduce you to some of the really important support functions that we have at Wyke as well, and hopefully just give you a sense of what your son or daughter will be experiencing over the next weeks and months as they start their journey with us. I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping first. We're going to run through some slides and I'm going to be introducing a variety of different staff to you, including our Chair of Corporation and our Principal in a few moments. There will be a chat function as well, so you can drop some questions in there, and our Vice Principal, Chris Herring, will be fielding some of those questions as we go through the evening. There will be some natural pauses in the first part of this presentation, and that will be an opportunity, and we'll pause throughout the event to field some of those questions. As you'll have seen from the information that went out, the evening is in sort of two sections. So there's this first part of the evening where we're going to, as I say, introduce you to some important members of the support teams and the wider pastoral team. And then there are some breakout sessions that are going to be run through Zoom where you will get to meet your son or daughter's individual progress tutor. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the first speaker of the evening, which is John Wilson, our Chair of the Corporation. Over to you, John.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry that we're not able to meet in person. These are challenging times and we have to adapt to ensure we reduce the risk of COVID-19 transmission as much as possible. On behalf of the corporation, I offer you a virtual welcome this evening. I very much hope that your daughters or sons have so far had a positive experience of the college. Our aim here is to ensure that all of our students achieve the best possible qualifications, but also acquire the confidence and skills they'll need in their future careers. However, I really want to address you, the parents or guardians of our students. The corporation, which is the governing body of the college, consists of student members, staff members, parent representatives, and members of the local community. Our job is to set the strategic direction of the college and to ensure that our principal, Paul, is running the college in line with that strategy. It's voluntary, but it's very rewarding. At times, it's quite challenging, but we're determined to make Wyke College the best in the area and even the best in the country, so that we can offer the young people of this region the best education possible. We're always looking for potential members of the corporation, and we need to maintain diversity, both gender and ethnic, to truly represent our region. We would particularly welcome more female representation on the board. So if there are any parents, and particularly mothers, who are interested in becoming members of the corporation, perhaps you could contact Fiona Bagchi, the clerk to the corporation, at fiona.bagchi@wyke.ac.uk. And if you can't remember that address, you can find it on our website. It's in the About Wyke section and click on College Corporation. If you scroll down, Fiona's address is at the bottom of this section, or just contact the college and say you want to reach the clerk to the corporation. Thank you. And now I'll hand over to Paul.
Hello everyone, I'm Paul, I'm the principal at Wyke. Thanks to John, and I would echo his request. We would love to have more people and representing more diverse opinions on our corporation. You know, it's really a crucial role to help our college operate in the way that it does. So talking about our college, just a few comments from me about the college and then a little bit about our plans for opening and keeping all of our students safe this autumn. So on the slide there, you can see what is Wyke all about. Well, look, our mission is to inspire and support all our students to achieve exceptional success, not okay success, not I suppose I could have done better if I'd have put a bit more work in success, but exceptional success, better than you ever thought you were capable of success. That's what we want for all of our students. Now, how do we know if we're doing that well? Well, our vision is to be the best sixth form college in the country. It's as simple as that. If our students are getting as good grades and making as much progress and developing as good skills as any other students at any other school or college in the country, then we know we're doing our thing of really delivering that exceptional success. And, you know, as we've spoken about before, why not here? Why shouldn't the young people of Hull and the Humber region have the best provision that there is? Next slide, please, Andrea. Excellent. So look, and here is some proof to show that this is what is happening at Wyke already. So our students last year, even despite the most unusual of circumstances, got absolutely fantastic outcomes. Basically, everybody passes. Not only do they pass, they get the best possible grades. 491 students got A stars or A grades, and 83% of our students doing vocational qualifications got triple distinction stars, which is the equivalent to 3 A stars, right? And that means that our students are in the top 1, 2, or 3 schools or colleges across the country in terms of the progress that they make, right? That's what we want for you. That's absolutely what tonight and all of the work that we do with you is about. Because they get these fantastic grades, they go on to the best destinations. Over the last 3 years, 26 students have become medics, dentists, or vets. 14 students now are currently studying at the universities of Oxford and Cambridge. And that doesn't have to be where you want to go. But the reason for sharing those stats is just to say, look, you can apply to the most challenging courses. You can go to the best universities in the country. Why not? Put the effort in and achieve those fantastic results. And you can see some wonderful images of our students who finished with us last year there with their collections of A's and A stars and distinction stars and so forth. The point about those images is that in 2 years' time, you or your sons and daughters, that's going to be them. It's going to be them on those pictures, and we're going to be saying about the amazing things they've achieved whilst they're at Wyke. Next slide, please. So I've been talking, and I've just started this morning going through doing kind of slightly more detailed briefings with all of the first year students. And if your son or daughter hasn't kind of attended one of those yet, there's another one tomorrow and there's 2 more on Friday, so you haven't missed out. And in those briefings, I'm just going through our expectations. Because to achieve these fantastic outcomes, you've got to meet the highest possible expectations, and they sit under our 4 values. So our students take pride in themselves and their achievements, in their college and where they're from. And that means they live up to the highest standards of behaviour, and we outline some of the things there. Clearly, academic excellence is core to getting the best possible results and making the best progress. The thing I shared with students earlier today is, yes, you do about 20 hours of face-to-face teaching in a week. We expect our students to do the same amount of independent study. That's what it takes to be getting those absolutely fantastic outcomes come the end. A caring community. I think possibly the thing I like best about working in a sixth form college is the ethos and the environment that we have here. It's one of independence, where you can really kind of be yourself, you can explore and develop and grow, but in a safe and supported way. And we're asking all of our students to live up to that expectation of independence, but responsibility and respect for each other. And when you get that all right, then you're ready for the world. Then you've got the set of skills, behaviors, qualifications, and confidence that means you're going to go out there and make the world a better place. That's what it's all about. Next slide, please. So just a little bit, hopefully you all received the email that I sent out last night. I promised you all back in the summer that we would give you an update about the situation and our plans for college opening. At that stage, we were very optimistic that we would be able to open the college to all of our students. But we also shared with you that we had 3 different levels of response that could cope with any change around the coronavirus outbreak and the national picture. So through the first couple of weeks of term, we've had our induction period. We've made sure that all of our teaching staff, all of our staff and our students understand both how it works on site and working remotely. And then yesterday it came to a head that we had to make a decision about how were we going to going forwards. We took these four key factors into account: the national infection rate, the local infection rates, our ability to moderate, to get all risks to at least a moderate level, and then the effectiveness of the remote learning, whether that really was an opportunity. As it turned out, the Prime Minister's statement was remarkably kind of fortuitously timed, in terms of it was exactly the same time as we were going through this decision-making process. And once we'd gone through it, you know, the national picture is one where we clearly need to be putting in place as many control measures as we can to try and keep students safe and to keep us all safe. That's despite the fact that local infection rates are still low, although it's expected that they will go up over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And we could take the information that we gathered from our second year students around the effectiveness of remote learning, and that has been very, very positive. I think the team have done a brilliant job of getting a very strong provision, all lessons as per the timetable, registered with live interactive elements and elements that students can follow at their own pace. And I've been asking all the students to give me feedback, and so far I've had very positive feedback from the vast majority of students about their experience. So as a consequence to that, we have taken the decision that we will move into the scenario B that we outlined, which was our response to high infection rates, but where we still wanted to maintain as much face-to-face contact as we can. The benefits of this 50-50, bringing in 1 year group for a week's activity, is that we fundamentally have only half the number of students on both the college site and on the transport system. So they, you know, it massively reduces the possibilities of infection, increases our ability to maintain distance whilst we're doing our work. That only works if the remote offer is working. We think it's been a really good start. We absolutely do want as much feedback as we can to make that the best it possibly can be. So we appreciate that your son and daughter is only sort of 3 days into this, but any feedback you can give us would be really helpful on that. So we're going to keep monitoring this. Our aim is absolutely to get all students back on site when it's safe. There's all sorts of things we would love to be doing with our students at the moment, but that we can't do, with some of the extracurricular activity, some of the sports and the events and speakers and things that we can't do without having everyone on site. So we are actively looking at how we can make changes to our transport system, increase capacity on site, and hopefully, if we put those things in place alongside an improvement in the national picture, we'll be able to get the kids all back on as soon as possible. But for now, we're in this 50-50 delivery model, and that's what we've got, and we will do that until we've got good reason to think we can bring people back safely. I will be providing weekly updates, or one of my team. They normally will come out, I think, on a Friday, potentially on a Saturday morning if Friday's been particularly busy, with an update about all the things that have taken place, any updates around those 4 key factors, and any modifications we might have made to try and keep the college safe. So I hope you all recognise the need for this decision. It's not the way we'd like it to be. In our ideal world, we'd be doing all of the fantastic things that we would normally be trying to do, but we do feel that this is the best way to maintain the highest quality education for all of our young people at this moment, whilst keeping them safe. Okay, that's it from me. I will just take a pause there. Chris, have we got any questions related to anything that John and I have been talking about, and most particularly the plans for college opening?
Yes, Paul, we've got a couple. My daughter is unsure of social distancing rules in college and the role of bubbles. Can you please clarify?
Yeah, so we don't have bubbles as such. We've got our year group bubbles, so the year are either in or they're out. We have a range of elements in place to ensure that there's distancing. So we have set seating plans in all of our classrooms. We have limited numbers in our lunchtimes rooms. We can clearly track the students who've been on the different transport systems. So if there were any outbreak of infection, we could then track back the students who may have been kind of exposed to that, and then that would mean that only a limited number of students, hopefully, in that situation would have to self-isolate if there were any concerns. So that's the way the bubble system works in sixth form colleges, and that's the system that's worked across the country. And in other colleges where there have been cases, that's been the guidance that's come back. So essentially the people you've been in close contact with through the day are then asked to self-isolate until any tests come back.
Okay, a few questions pinging through, Paul. So just on that theme, our position on masks and the transport networks.
Yes, so we are mandating to all students that they need to wear masks when they're on the transport system. That isn't actually in the government guidance because it's a private network and not a public bus service, but we absolutely think that that is the safest thing for all of our young people. We are aware that we haven't had all students complying with that so far. We do have limited numbers of students on the buses. You know, with the 50-50 model, they're much lower numbers than they would be otherwise. And we are asking all students to wear their face coverings. And I would ask all parents to please support us, because the key message is it's our collective responsibility to do our bit to make sure that college stays open and we all continue to get the education. So it is about wearing your masks. It is about making sure that you wash your hands. It is about making sure that you follow the safety systems that we've put in place. You know, college is about independence and responsibility. It isn't our role to enforce that everybody follows all of these things, and we couldn't do that on our bus system. We do expect our students to recognise the importance of playing their bit, and if parents can help reinforce that message, that would be very helpful.
I think, Paul, just a few questions around our position on remote learning. So specifically, how we're going to deliver lessons. Will lessons continue to be mainly self-taught, PowerPoints via Teams, or will there be an increase in teacher-led activity?
So at the moment, we've specified that all classes have to happen as per the timetable. They need to have a register. They need to have at least some live element, which involves a check on prior learning and a check on where students are up to. We're still learning around this process. We are just starting to get in place our kind of quality assurance processes so that we can have a look at what's going on across the college. As I say, the anecdotal feedback that I'm getting is very positive, but I'm sure there's lots that we can learn and we can share around the good practice. I would say there are some real opportunities around the remote learning, around developing kind of independent and research skills. The way I certainly see it working, if I was kind of delivering a group, is that in the week that you've got them in class, you can get them really set up, you can make sure all of the tasks are clear, you can have that kind of broader discussion and debate, and then that means that in the remote weeks, there's kind of more scope for the students to go off and explore the topic areas. But having said that, I know that there are many lessons across the college at the moment that have happened through this week where their teachers have just been teaching the whole hour and 10 remote lesson as if it's a live lesson. I don't think we're going to change that specification. We don't want to make it so that we say that teachers have to just do an hour and 10 live remote, because I think that won't be making the most of the opportunities that are in the within the software that we've got there. But I absolutely do want your feedback about particular subject areas where you think it might not be working as well, or particular things that are helping your son or daughter really progress.
Yeah, so a few questions around enrichment, Paul. When are they scheduled to start? And a few concern questions around indoor sports such as basketball and progressing forward with that. Yeah,
so enrichment starting, there'll be more messages coming out at the beginning of next week about the launch of enrichment. We've kind of got a phased approach this year, partly due to response to the virus. We've got a kind of raft of clubs and societies where there'll be messages coming out about them at the beginning of next week. The sports was due to start after the half-term break. I have been asking questions of national representatives today about what the announcements yesterday and the rules of 6 and the implications for sports teams, and whether that has any implications for us. At the moment, the guidance still says that school and college sports is exempt from that, but I think it is a watch this space. I think the civil servants are still working their way through updating our guidance following the announcements yesterday. And what was the last question in that, Chris?
I think you've answered it, Paul. It was around enrichment and when they start, and then the position around indoor sports, such as basketball.
Okay.
There are a few questions that are quite specific to individuals, Paul, so I'll pick these up outside, and I'll make a couple of phone calls to the relevant parents when we finish this session tonight. A few questions on contingency planning around technology failure. So, for example, if our servers go down or we can't operate remotely, do we have any contingencies?
Yeah, so we've invested heavily in both our infrastructure on site. We're also putting in a second pipe, as it's called in the pilot, so a second kind of complete contact into the network. So we shouldn't have the system to ever go down, because there should always be a complete backup for it. Now, there were issues, as we know, on the very first day of remote teaching for the second years, and there may be blips of that sort, but at the moment our kind of down periods are very low, and we're investing heavily to make sure that they get even lower.
Okay, thank you, Paul. And then just a couple of questions around, well, two questions, one around masks in lessons, and what's our position on that?
So we've started to have some discussions about it. The guidance is clear that we're not being recommended by the government to have face coverings in lessons. I think it's a discussion that we are going to start to have. I know that it's something that we would prefer not to have to do, because it's definitely going to impact on the ability for people to engage in lessons. It may be something that is a control measure that we feel we need to implement, especially if infection rates in the local area become higher and there's more concerns and more need to keep people safe. So I think that's one we're going to keep under review. We're definitely not suggesting that that's something that people should be doing right now, but it's something that I will be updating people about as we go through.
And then the final question I think is worth answering, Paul, is around our decision yesterday. So it makes reference to a number of the schools in the area being at full capacity, and why we've made the decision not to go to full capacity at this stage.
Yeah, look, I mean, it was something that we really discussed, and we considered whether that's something we wanted to do and thought was going to be the best thing to do. As I say, when we went down that list, the national rate was looking very concerning, and we wanted to make sure we didn't imperil that. We have a larger proportion of our students who come in on our transport network than I think any of the local schools or colleges. Well over 50% of our students come on that transport network, and we're certainly concerned about overburdening that and putting people in a position where we can't achieve distance there. We're also concerned about being able to have adequate space in terms of our social spaces. So when we saw the national picture, we felt that actually it was going to be, when we combined that with the success of the remote learning so far, we thought that this was a model that was going to be sustainable over the next little period, and then we would continue to see what other controls and what other increases in capacity we could make to try and get it to a stage where we brought all students back.
Okay, thank you. As per 50/50 delivery, will it be first years back in college next week?
Yes, it will.
And just there are a few questions here, for example, around work experience, which we may pick up in a little while when the team do their talks. Quite a few questions around course changes, Paul.
Well, okay, I think if it's okay, with course changes, we've got some more details coming out next week. If there's more questions about the whole college opening bit, I'm very open to having a discussion on email. You all got an email from me last evening, so please do raise those questions with me, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I possibly can on it. I think some of the more technical questions, the other people you're going to hear from this afternoon are going to be able to give you a better answer than I can do, and I know they want to get on with telling you all about it. So I think let's hold the questions for now, Chris, and yep. Maybe you can pick up on some of those later on, and I'm going to hand back over to the pastoral directors. We've got Andy and Andrea ready and waiting at the news desk for us.
Hi, thanks ever so much, Paul. We feel like we're on the Good Morning Britain, don't we, Andy? So I'm Andrea, and this is Andy, and we're the pastoral directors. We manage sort of quite a wide provision of pastoral functions within the college, and we're going to hopefully talk through some of those this evening. But we're going to also introduce some other very valuable members of staff who are part of the wider pastoral team, and they're going to talk about each of their individual areas. And as Paul has just done, we'll have some natural pauses throughout the presentation. So again, Chris can field some questions And then hopefully you'll have that chance to pop some questions to your son or daughter's progress tutor in the second part of the evening. So as I said, we have kind of sort of collaborated with other support functions within the college over the last couple of years, and we now sort of class ourselves as this wider pastoral team. And because there were so many elements that sort of overlapped, but also worked really collaboratively and closely together. So Andy and I manage the progress tutors, but we also oversee some of the other pastoral functions within the college that are managed by some of our colleagues that are in the room with us and sort of eagerly waiting at the sides to come and chat with you soon. So parts of that wider pastoral function are UCAS and next steps, careers support, of course safeguarding, financial support, additional learning support, and also emotional wellbeing and counselling. And as I say, each of those managers are going to talk to you about those. We also sort of are very keen on signposting our students to other providers, whether they be external or internal. We have an absolutely brilliant platform called Together All, that was formerly the Big White Wall, that's used quite extensively in the NHS and universities. And it's an online mental health provision that our students use quite extensively. There's another one that's very similar called Couth, and another emergency crisis system called Shout. So we do signpost our students to use these, but we also have our internal services as well that our students can utilise quite freely. We're in the process actually of sort of getting set up like almost like business cards that students can access, whether digitally or sort of in a physical format, and they can easily find the services that they need and can be signposted by all members of staff, and not just the pastoral teams. Because we want that really embedded across all areas of the college. We have some student support walls that are opposite the main office and reception, and also opposite the tutor office. They can also access these online through our website. And they signpost students to sort of deeper support on careers, financial support, the study spaces we have and different resources that they can access, learning support, mental health and wellbeing, and safeguarding information, as well as the other external services that I've spoken about. I want to sort of talk a little bit more about our progress tutor team. Obviously, you will meet your son or daughter's individual progress tutor later this evening in the Zoom sessions. We think that it's an absolutely brilliant function at the college that your son or daughter has their own personal tutor that oversees not only their pastoral welfare, but also helps track and monitor their progress academically. And we work really closely with curriculum teams to make sure that's effective and productive. So we've got our photographs on there. Obviously that probably doesn't mean much to you, but hopefully later this evening you'll be able to put a face to a name when you meet your son or daughter's progress tutor, sort of I know virtually, but you'll be able to see them and ask a few general questions. What I would say, if you do want to speak specifically about a more personal issue about your son or daughter, the progress tutor will provide you with their email address. So I would ask if you drop them an email over the next few days, they will get back in touch with you. We're also happy to talk to people over the phone, or if you do wish to come into college and make an appointment to meet with a progress tutor, or myself or Andy, you're more than welcome to do so. I'm going to hand over to Andy now, actually, who's going to talk through the sort of more broader functions of the progress tutor team. As you can see, these are, the generic functions that we offer, not just within the progress tutor team, but more widely as well. But we want to kind of dig a little bit deeper and actually demonstrate to you what the purpose of the progress tutor team is, how you can work collaboratively with us. We always think, the students at the centre of it, but if we can work with you as parents, that always brings about the best results from our own experience. So I'm going to hand over to Andy now, who's going to talk a little bit more detail about the progress tutor function and tutorials at Wyke Sixth Form College.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As Andrea said, my name's Andy, one of the pastoral directors. I'm just going to go through some of the tiles that you can see in front of you. Paul mentioned earlier about exceptional success and your sons and daughters finishing their time at Wyke and going on to a positive destination. One of the ways we're going to hopefully manage that is through tracking your sons and daughters' progress. Now, over the course of this first year and the second year, we'll go through a series of progress points where teachers will RAG rate your son or daughter, and RAG means red, amber or green. Red being some serious concerns that the teachers are aware of, amber, one or two minor concerns potentially, and a green rag would say that everything is going well within the class and things are looking good. Okay, so it's just a quick snapshot. Across the first academic year, in winter and spring, there'll also be formal assessments, sort of mock exams, where the students will get some great feedback from those exams, and you will be fed back, or sorry, the information will be fed back to you and your sons and daughters so that we can track their progress and make sure that they're on a positive path forwards. We'll also meet with progress tutors weekly on a rolling cycle of one-to-ones, and again, it's a chance for the tutor to sit with your son or daughter, looking at their e-records. We have an e-record system where we'll track literally what your son or daughter is doing within their program of study, and we'll just make sure that everything is going in a positive direction. And if additional support or guidance is required, then the progress tutor will work with other teams across the college to make sure that support is adequate to ensure your son or daughter is moving forward. The behaviour management, again, we hope that we don't really need to use the behaviour management system, but there is a system in place, and if young men and women start to go off track, shall we say, start to miss deadlines with homework, start to miss lessons, or have lateness to lessons, then again, we will use the behaviour management system. Initially, it will be a department system where the teachers can put maybe a sanction, level 1 sanction, could progress to a level 2, but any sanction that is placed on the system, the teacher or the tutor placing that sanction on will give you a call just to explain exactly why your son or daughter is receiving a level 1 or level 2 sanction. So again, we can work with you and your sons and daughters and manage them appropriately, because we don't want them to sort of go off track. We want to keep them on track and keep them going forward positively. Unfortunately, we do every now and then, we have 1 or 2 that continue to cause problems, shall we say, and that management system could go up to a formal written warning and a contract further. But again, we're hoping not to use that system, but there is a system in place so we can make sure that we do ensure that our students act appropriately within class and around the college as a whole. Monitoring attendance is a key function. We realise that students that are in class, whether that's remote in class or physically in the class, are there, they're taking in all the information, having the opportunity to speak to the teachers, ask questions and engage appropriately. If students start to miss class and there's no real reason for that, then again, the progress tutor or the teachers may give you a call. You will receive text message as well to say that your son or daughter has been absent from the lesson, and it could be this a genuine dental problem, or sorry, a dental appointment, a medical appointment, which is completely fine, and we just need to log that, and your son and daughter does know how to do that. We've also this year got 2 student support officers, and their role is to visit students around the college, making sure that the students are engaging effectively. If they're in class, they should be in class. If they're not in class, then sort of chasing down, and also giving you guys a call just to make sure that we have a joined up approach between the students, the parents and the college, so we can track the progress, manage the behaviour, ensure that they're in college, and hopefully exceptional success will come at the end of the 2 years here. The other tiles you can see there, we understand that coming from GCSEs to A-levels or BTEC level 3 courses, there's a significant increase in the difficulty, shall we say. So again, your son and daughter's progress tutor will work with your sons and daughters to help with revision skills, organisation, time management, and if there's further assistance required, then we may point them towards Julie and her team in the additional learning support, which you'll hear about shortly. We will be preparing for the future. So if your son or daughter is looking at university, an apprenticeship, looking at a job and they need assistance with CVs, personal statements for university, or just looking at sort of other options outside of college, again, progress tutor will work with your sons and daughters, but again, also work with Vicky, who you're going to see shortly, to ensure that when they leave college, they've got a successful and positive destination post-Wyke. Ready for the world and citizenship. So again, we realise that there's lots of things happening in the world at the moment. Last year, one of the hot topics that we talked about in tutorial was Brexit. Clearly this year, we've moved on a little bit. Yeah. COVID-19 is going to be quite central to that, but other such political or sort of hot topics, Black Lives Matter was an issue that sort of raised its head, shall we say, during lockdown and isolation, and we've not really discussed that. So we will be discussing things of that nature in a positive, understanding and sensitive way, because we all need to realise there's lots of things happening around the world, and we're all part of that bigger provision. Health and well-being. So again, unfortunately, we know that mental health is unfortunately, it's a big thing happening in society, and we understand that some of our students suffer with mental health and need support. So again, Rebecca will talk about the emotional well-being side, But in tutorials, we will do some group sessions and we'll do some individual one-to-ones with our tutees. And to be honest with you, the way I work with my tutees is I am there as a shoulder to cry on. If they want to come and talk to me about anything, I will listen to them, I will support them. I may be able to give them support from the student support walls, which Andrew's alluded to. It may be that they need to speak to one of Rebecca's team. But we are there to support, help and guide your sons and daughters over the whole of their 2 years here. I'm going to stop now and I'm going to pass over to Rebecca, who's going to talk.
Not quite yet. We just need to talk about the parent portal.
Oh, sorry.
He hasn't got specs on,
sorry,
that's why.
I haven't got specs on. So the parent portal, key function. Thank you, Andy. So it also comes down to the tracking of progress. So you should have been sent a link or an email to the parent portal. To access the parent portal, you will need your son or daughter's S number, their student number. And then you just log on, you enter your own password and you set up your parent portal that way. Can you press the button, please, Andrew? And that's what you should be able to see. On there, you'll see some headline data. So you will be able to see the attendance data for your son or daughter accurately there and then. So if you log on today, you will see the percentages of the lessons that they've been to today or they've not been to today. You'll also see if there's any support and discipline problems on there. So if somebody's been a son or a daughter has been placed on the level 1 sanction, that will be annotated on there and you will be able to see that. So again, there's all information there. You can see there's a welcome page. There's a cashless catering system where students are using their ID cards to maybe purchase food from one of the bars we've got. And also you will see the tracking progress in terms of the red, amber and green rags. Any assessment marks will be placed on there so you can see. So you're not being left out of the loop. You can access the parent portal and you can see exactly how your son or daughter is getting on. If there's something on there that you think, I don't understand, or why they're not being in college today, or why is this sanction being put on, I don't know about it, then you'll be able to ring up your progress tutor and ask the question and engage with us. We want to engage with you to make sure that your son or daughter is successful during their time in Wyke. I think I'm now.
You are right now.
Hand over to
so
Rebecca.
this is the hot seat, guys.
I apologise. I'll step out.
So I'm going to sort of be the anchor woman, if you like. So this is Rebecca Boulder, who just casually walked into the table. You can tell this evening is tomorrow. So this is Rebecca. She's our safeguarding and wellbeing manager. So I'm just going to hand over to her for a few moments. She's going to talk you through her responsibilities at the college, and all about wider responsibilities from a safeguarding perspective. It is, I think.
Yeah. Oh, right, okay. Yeah. I've got 2 slides, so I wasn't sure which was going to come first. So as Andrew said, my name's Rebecca Boulder. I'm the safeguarding and wellbeing lead. I manage the wellbeing service. So within that service, we have 2 team members. We've got Naomi Robinson, who is the emotional wellbeing practitioner, and then we've also got Jane Hutty, who is our qualified counsellor. They both work part-time, so Naomi does 3 days a week and Jane does 2 days a week. They both provide drop-in sessions, so students can access them via a drop-in. There's drop-in sessions that the students are all aware of. The tutors obviously give that information during the tutor sessions, and there's also notices up around the college. So they can just pop along to Oak 56, which is their office, and attend a drop-in session. During that session, Naomi and Jane will be able to give information around the support that they can access in college, whether that's from the wellbeing service or from one of the other departments. They can signpost to external services, to online resources. So there's lots of options there that they can access just from attending that drop-in session. And it might be that that's enough for them and they're happy to be signposted on. It may be that they've decided that actually they would benefit from some more work. So both Naomi, she is available to do one-to-one targeted wellbeing support sessions. So she would have a discussion with your son or daughter around what their needs are, and then she would kind of tailor-make almost a programme of support for them, whether that's looking at wellness tools and action planning, looking at ways to kind of motivate, or looking at what activities they can join, whether that's enrichment within college or activities they can access outside of college, and again signposting onto those online resources. Naomi will also be, after the half term, running some wellbeing group sessions. So at the moment, her plan is to get out into the tutor sessions and speak to our students to find out what it is that they feel they would benefit from. And then she's going to look at some programs of support that she can deliver within the learning support area that students can just drop along to. They don't have to pre-book that, they can just drop along. Our counsellor Jane, as I said, she's available 2 days a week. Now at the moment she is remote working, so we have a computer set up in Oak 56 which students can go and access Jane via Teams. If it's a drop-in session, then the student would need to go into Oak 56, they can put the blind down, they can put a do not disturb sign on the door, and then they can contact Jane via Teams, either messaging, or they can do a voice call, or they can do a video call. If they are going to be working with Jane and doing actual counselling sessions, planned sessions, then Jane would book appointments with them and she would arrange to contact them via Teams at a set time. So again, your son or daughter would go to Work 56 and they would be there waiting for a call from Jane or a message from Jane. For your son or daughter to access the service, they can either pop along to a drop-in session and speak to Naomi, or again, can access the drop-in session remotely with Jane, or they can email wellbeing@Wyke and request some support. We can then obviously pick that email up and direct them to whether it's to Naomi or whether we put them forward for a counselling assessment with Jane. And then I've touched upon the online resources, and again there what Andrea's already alluded to with Let's Talk and Couth and Shout, but we also have Shelf Help scheme, which is located in the library. There's an actual wellbeing section where there's lots of different helpful books on anxiety, low mood, eating disorders. There's lots of different things there that they can access. They can take those out of the library and they can work through those books. So that's
Oh, there we are.
So that's basically the wellbeing service. And then I wanted to introduce you to the safeguarding team. So you'll be meeting most of the people on this slide. Chris Herring is the designated safeguarding lead, so he's kind of in charge of all things safeguarding within the college. I am the deputy designated safeguarding lead, along with Andrea and Andy, who you've already met. And then we also have Katie and Lee, who are progress leads and also deputy safeguarding leads. So we are the safeguarding team. So if there are any issues or concerns or worries of a safeguarding nature, then your son or daughter can access somebody within that team. We would then obviously action any safeguarding concerns, have discussions with them, make contacts with yourselves, and if appropriate, then obviously we would look at external services that we could signpost on or refer on to. So that's kind of the safeguarding team in a nutshell. Obviously, if you've got any further concerns or questions or anything like that, then please just drop one of us an email and we can give you further information.
Can I just draw a bit of a pause there? Is that okay? Have we got any questions, Chris, that you'd like us to answer at this point?
There haven't been a huge number of questions, Andrea, in relation to what you guys have talked about.
Okay, that's absolutely fine.
However, there have been one or two. The odd question around students being social and making friends, given that they're not on site as much as they possibly would be, and how we can maybe facilitate that.
So yes, I mean we've already kind of highlighted that quite quickly actually around some students who are not, maybe they've not come with their friendship group and are finding it difficult to kind of make friends, especially given the social distancing and things that are going on at the moment. Naomi is working with Sandy within learning support, and they are looking at some kind of sessions that they can put together that students can attend, that they can just drop into, meet people, play games, do different activities, just to kind of break the ice really with other students who are kind of feeling the same really, and hopefully they'll develop some friendships from that.
I'm actually going to talk a little bit later about the student executive as well, a bit like our equivalent of a student union. So that might be a bit of an answer as well regarding that. So we have got some things in place around the college to kind of break down those sort of walls, if you like. We're also really aware that students that have just come up to us haven't been in education since March, 6 months. So we were always very aware that this was going to be quite a difficult adjustment period for them. And on the whole, our experience has been they've been so pleased to get back into form of education and start socialising. And we've actually got an activity planned next week, haven't we, Andy, for all our tutor groups. It's like an escape room activity. We've actually brought an escape room, like a virtual escape room in from one of the companies in Hull that do the actual escape room. So it's so again, that's part of our sort of approach at sort of team building and getting students chatting to each other and making new friends.
And just a quick question, maybe worth picking up around our information record type. So what's an information record? What's a commendation? And what's a level 1, 2, 3 warning if they show up on the parent portal?
Okay, so an information record is basically a conversation starter, if you like, between a teacher, a tutor. Obviously, as you can see from the parent portal, you'll be able to get access to those. And it might be that a student has missed a homework or arrived late to a lesson, but it also can be a positive thing. So we have things called commendations. So it might be that students produced an exceptional piece of work, or they've got involved in an enrichment, or they've helped out in over and above in a particular subject area, or sort of in the wider enrichment area. The level 1 and level 2 warnings that Andy alluded to, as he said, we really don't want to focus on sort of the negatives, but if a student, persists in being late, or they have poor attendance, or they're not submitting homework on time, we do like to move quite swiftly with sanctions. So individual teachers have the ability to put a swift sanction on. So the level 1, for example, would be, a phone call home to engage with you as parents to let you know that your son or daughter has missed 3 homeworks, for example. And then if it happens again 2 or 3 weeks later, we would then escalate that to a level 2. So that would be a letter home to you to inform you of what's gone on. After a level 2 departmental warning, we would then, if problems are still persisting, we have what's called a case conference. So that would be involving parents and stakeholders to have a sort of wider meeting to address if there's any problems. We want to remove as many barriers as possible to students not being able to access whatever it is they're having issues with. But all of that is very transparent on our parent portal. So we are very proactive at engaging parents very swiftly. So we would explain all of that if the case arose.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. No further questions.
Okay, super. Right, so the hot seat is going to be vacated by Rebecca, and I'm going to be joined by Julie Lynch, who's our manager of the Additional Learning Support Department.
Hi everyone, great to see you in this virtual world. So yeah, welcome to this evening. It's lovely to be here with colleagues and have an opportunity to talk to you about some of the support functions that are available. So yes, additional learning support. We're really fortunate in terms of the space that we've got. We're based in the Oak building, and there is a student support hub which is located in Oak 3. It's a lovely big space where we have a help desk that is staffed all throughout the day. So if any of your sons or daughters have any questions at any time, that is a really good place to come. Obviously, you can see that we all work really closely together. There's an awful lot of overlap, I think, between all of us at kind of this level in the wider pastoral team in terms of making sure that we are removing barriers to learning. There should be nothing getting in the way really of students' progress. So I'll tell you a little bit about the team. Unfortunately, I've not got pictures of everyone. I think the team are probably quite glad about that, if I'm honest. We're a team of 8 learning support mentors led by myself, a very experienced, very well qualified team, all with a range of different strengths and interests and abilities. So we've got some people that are history or maths graduates, some that are science, some that are music. Generally, there's not really a subject across the college that is not covered somewhere. So it's a really nice team to work with in terms of the diversity. As I say, we're based in Oak 3, and that is open all the time. You don't need to have an appointment, so you can just come along and talk about any support needs that you have. Our role really within the college, of course, as you can imagine, there are students that are able to come and study at Wyke with the right kind of level of academic aptitude, but who might have a disability or an additional learning need. So fundamentally, we support those with education, health and care plans and make sure that all of that, the kind of statutory support is in place for them to access the courses here at the college. And we've a great kind of history of success. You know, lots of students that have achieved great things with additional needs have gone on to university and have been very, very successful. And current students that are with us now that are also impressing and are on that kind of trajectory to go on to be really positive and successful. So EHCP students is kind of where we start, but really we are here to support anybody with an additional need. We do kind of delve a little bit deeper, as Andy alluded to, in terms of general academic study support. So we look at note-taking methods. There are different ones that we can teach, organisation, revision techniques, time management, academic writing. You know, we're prepared to proofread essays and give advice. So that, you know, there's nothing that we won't tackle really. I think the key message from me is that we're very person-centred, very individually tailored to whatever your son or daughter needs in terms of our help. So if there are people out there already that are struggling, then please do get in touch and let us know. So how can you access support? There are a number of ways really. Obviously the student support wall has got all of the information about the wider pastoral team and that general offer of support. So you just need to look for those specific learning support referral forms there. You can self-refer by filling in a form, bringing that along to Oak 3. Equally, if you've come along to Oak 3 without a form, that's not a problem. We do work closely with the tutor team, so we'd be aware of students that are struggling maybe, as Andrea just mentioned about e-records and information records. There's lots of ways in which staff are able to communicate, so that we're on top of it kind of straight away when we see that somebody starts to struggle. So there are no kind of limits or barriers in terms of who can access support. That said, we do really keep an eye on what I guess we would consider students that might be of concern. So those that we know maybe do have additional needs or disabilities, those that might be considered vulnerable in some way. So we try and have that wraparound support and wraparound care right from the offset. A lot of you will have had a telephone call last year after you'd applied to the college. My team did a really great job in getting in touch with most of you who had let us know that you had additional needs. So we've been in a really good position at the start of the year to kind of hit the ground running with some of you and get those one-to-one support sessions booked in. Equally, if you are kind of feeling as though you should have had a call or would like somebody to be in contact, then please reach out to us as well. And that is not a problem. So how we work is, it can be very varied. And as I said, we always like to have a conversation with you about how you would like to be supported. So for some of our students with disabilities or education, health and care plans, we do offer in-class support. There are students that just need to be escorted to lessons, which is fine. Some of the team remain based in the student support hub in the Oak building, and they will offer 30-minute one-to-one support sessions once or twice a week. We find that that's really helpful because it just allows people to kind of bring any issues to that session, work through them. Some people then stay on in the student support hub and do a little bit of independent study, and the room is kind of big enough. Bearing in mind for social distancing at the minute, it is big enough to allow for that to happen. So it does kind of allow that interaction with staff that's very focused, very purposeful, but then students can go off and do some independent work as well. So there's nothing I think that I would suggest you bring anything to us that you are worried about. I know that it's a lot to get used to, particularly with the lockdown since March, and we're back in education and getting used to new things such as Teams. But what I would suggest is that you don't struggle alone. I think between all of us here as a team this evening, we're just very keen that you have a great experience, a really positive experience, and then are able to kind kind of, you know, reach your potential. So what I will say is, if you want to get in touch with me after this evening, is please feel free to drop us an email, get in touch. You can either email the office at Wyke, or julie.lynch@wyke.ac.uk, and I'll be really pleased to speak to you. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Julie. So I'd now like to introduce you to Vicky Bison. She's our careers lead. She's going to move in seamlessly into the hot seat, and she's going to talk you through sort of her division from her section, but and also our sort of overview of next steps and UCAS.
Hi everyone, my name's Vicky and I'm the careers lead for Wyke College, as Andrew's just mentioned. What we have at Wyke is we have a full and dedicated team of careers advisors that are qualified. They'll see your son or daughter for a one-to-one appointment if that's what they want. What we might do is see some students more than once. We might see some students 20 times throughout the year if they want the continuous support from us, and we're happy to do that. But just as the slide says there, what we also offer is support with them looking for a university place. We give them research tips and we help them look at what is best for them. We help them if they're looking for an apprenticeship. More so now the new degree apprenticeships, we're helping a lot of the students with that. The application process for that is tough. Some students might want to go straight into full-time employment. Likewise, a gap year or lots of other destinations. But as I said, we'll help with application support, from filling out your university application or other jobs or apprenticeships. We'll also help with interview techniques, and we'll do some mock interviews. We have lots of employers coming in to talk. We've got some great links with employers, both locally and nationally. And in this new virtual world, it's a benefit for us because now what we can do is we get good companies like IBM, we've got Google working with us at the minute, and what we can do is our students can access that instead of just accessing some of the local employers that they did. So this is putting us in a good position that we can have like Q&A sessions and virtual sessions with employers locally, nationally and internationally. Just this next slide is just a list of the Russell Group universities that your son or daughter could go to. They're just the main ones. I know a lot of parents ask what is the Russell Group university, and they're listed there. So you can just have a look through that. And this is really interesting. This is where some of our students from last year, through the university route, and we've got a separate slide for other routes, but through the university route where they went. So you can see there we've got everything from the normal I don't know, engineering routes right through to zoology, linguistics for a majority of universities. So that's just a snapshot, if you like, of some of the places that that our last year students went on to. This is where some of our students that chose not to go down the university route, this is where some of them went to. And there's some really good ones on there, like the Dyson Institute, that's a new one for us this year. All the top 4 big accounting companies, EY, PricewaterhouseCoopers and KPMG. Every year we're successful with students going there. You can see the BAE, that's a new one as well, the nuclear degree apprenticeship, not just the engineering ones. So there's just a whole host there of where our students have gone on to if they've chosen not to go down the university route.
I just want to say, well, I think that's amazing in the year that we were in as well, when apprenticeship routes were significantly reduced because of COVID. So,
well, the student that got into the Dyson Institute, he started his application mid-January. He went through a whole host of all sorts of different applications, interviews, assessment days, and it was mid-June that he finally found out that he'd got it. So he'd waited all that time, but totally worth it. He's living in one of the little Dyson pods now, which are brilliant. Already, when your son or daughter started with us, they completed one of our next steps forms, and on there you can already see that there's a massive range of different interests for their next steps. You can see there that some of them have already put an expression in from more than one. So they might be interested in a high level apprenticeship, but they also might be interested in university. So the biggest part of our role is to definitely make sure that they've got a clear pathway when they finish at Wyke they're fully prepared for it. They've got all the employability skills that go with that. They've got a fantastic CV, university application, and they're going to something that they want to go into. And like Paul said, that's aspirational, and they've enjoyed the 2 years with us at Wyke, but they come out the other side as a young adult ready for the world of work. What we will offer is, this is just a slide to say that with our university visits, our employer talks and that kind of thing, there's lots and lots of different things going on virtually. So that what I could do is I can put something on our Moodle site that you can access all the different, like the Uni Taster Days website, the Finding an Apprenticeship website, all those kind of things that you can now access digitally. You'll be able to go onto there and do your own research. We're definitely happy to help, and we'll do some virtual workshops where we'll show some of our students how to look for the different jobs and the different universities and where the research is, so that then they can go on and do that themselves. And scarily, I'd just like to finish with this slide. If your son or daughter is looking to go to university when they've finished at Wyke, I dare even say that there's 9 months until the students are looking to apply. So the time flies past here, but hopefully it'll be a fantastic experience. And as I say, we're the careers team, and we're based in the library in Oak 10. Students can come and see us anytime they want. We put on lunchtime support sessions through groups. We have drop-in sessions, and we definitely have the one-to-one sessions. So please feel free to tell them to come along to the library to get booked onto one of those.
Thank you, Vicky. I'm
All right.
just going to finish off. So I think Andy's going to come and sit back down with me, so I'm not sat on my own. So we just wanted to kind of finish up the evening, really. And I sort of mentioned this earlier with one of Chris's questions about your son or daughter sort of feeling part of that wider college community. And we can offer lots and lots of things as staff, but we also understand that students come to college for more than just their academic studies. They come to make friends, to have new experiences, to have fun as well. And we do, we really pride ourselves on that, don't we, Andy? That this is a really lovely place to be. As a member of staff, it is, and we like to see that in our students as well. And the Wyke Student Executive, which is a little bit like I said, a student union that you might get at university, a kind of like a real establishment at Wyke Sixth Form College. And they're a group of elected students, so they get elected at the end of their first year, but then they take on roles within the student exec in their second year. So we did all this virtually while we were in lockdown. So these are some of the members of our new student exec. So they're second years that have come back to college this year. Student exec run lots and lots of different things. They get involved in loads of fundraising. We have a wonderful rag week every year. They get involved in events that are both national and local, and they run lots and lots of different societies as well within the college. So if your son or daughter is a little bit nervous, they can always approach these guys. They're having their inaugural meeting next week. The member of staff responsible for them is Chloe Whitaker, who also runs our enrichments, and she's based in the same office as Vicky in Oak 10. So if your son or daughter wants to get involved in any of that, they can just drop the student exec an email, or they can go pop and see Chloe, and she'll help facilitate anything that they want to get involved in. And if your son or daughter wants to start a society that doesn't even exist at Wyke, she will sort them out and show them how to set that up. So there's no sort of limit to what they want to do and what they want to get involved in socially. So I suppose that's sort of drawing an end to the evening, if you like. As we said at the beginning, a very, very different affair this evening, but we hope you've got quite a lot of information from this. I'm not sure, Chris, if there are any questions that have come through about anything. Obviously, I'm aware that the breakout sessions are going to start shortly.
No, just a couple of questions around progress tutors and who their son or daughter's progress tutor is. So I'll just fill those through the chat function.
Okay.
I did just want to say a point around the flyers evening. Obviously, we've postponed that. That was due to take place this week. We're going to run that on October the 8th. I'm going to send out information to all eligible students later this week around the flyers provision. So yeah, just watch this space for that, I think. And yeah, apart from that, Andrea, I think there was one question around whether or not the students are going to receive this information, because some parents have found it really useful, but obviously it's vitally important that the students get access to all of this.
We can link it to the website. That's not a problem. So students can access it as well. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah, and we obviously run this through tutorial sessions as well. All of this information is distributed throughout the tutorial
Can I
session.
just add, I know that one of the progress tutors that's listed is a lady called Sarah Leake. She actually starts in a couple of weeks' time. Don't worry, your son or daughter's tutorials have been covered by a member of staff, but that member of staff's not here this evening. So if your son or daughter has Sarah Leake as their progress tutor, if you want to join my Zoom session, and I'm more than happy to give you some information this evening. Is that okay?
Perfect, thank you.
Right, well, if there are no further questions then, we'll end this part of the evening session. You'll notice that the breakout sessions are run through Zoom, so you'll have to go on to the other platform. But I really hope you found this evening informative. As you've got our email addresses, so please do pop us a line. As Julie and Vicky said, you know, the wider pastoral team do work really, really closely together. In fact, we're having one of our meetings tomorrow morning when we come back into work. So we're happy to help in any way that we can, whatever that might be. So hopefully we'll see a few of you later in the breakout sessions, but have a lovely evening. Goodbye.
Thank you, guys.
Is that cut?